Hey guys, what's up? I am Bruce Van Zale. I'm the founder of Innovo Studios. We're the company that is responsible for designing, building, and launching Tribe Social. Today, I have the honor of inviting one of my friends and business partners here, Jesse Maitland, to join us. Jesse, thanks for jumping on here and just giving us some of your time.
Absolutely, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, and Jesse's done a lot of things in his day, and been in the production world. He's done church production. He's done tech production. Just tell us a little bit about like how you got to do what you're doing today, and like just some of your background.
Yeah, I don't even know if you have heard it, but I actually started in junior high. I was literally in junior high, and I got this little grant and started in my local public access station. And for those of you who may not even know what a public access station is, a lot of cities have them, and your tax dollars actually go into that. But they opened the doors and trained a bunch of junior hires to learn how to run a studio, and that got me plugged into not only production in a live environment, but it also got me connected to my local church and doing production with some of the team there because they were some of the instructors, and it really kind of all stemmed from there.
That's awesome. So like, tell me a little bit, like, what are you doing today? Like, what does a general like week look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I
guess it's totally different today, this week.
It's a little different today. Yeah. 2019 looked like, actually 2018, 2019 looked like a lot of travel. We did a fair amount of international, did some international trips doing live production for destination style conferences, which were super fun, as well as domestic. So a lot in the States, doing that for corporate clients, a lot of work in the Bay Area, tech industry, startups, that kind of stuff, specifically in the space of live streaming. And we did a lot of really cool things with really just like some of the newer streaming technologies within Facebook and YouTube, and how do we maximize or get more views using some really cool ninja tricks that a lot of people don't even know exist, but we were definitely doing some creative stuff back then. So today it's all different.
Yep.
I think almost all of my events have canceled, and they have either canceled or they're trying to figure out how to live stream or do some sort of remote thing.
Are like most of your clients coming in having done some live stream before, or is this a kind of first time?
I would say it's probably 50-50. I mean, the ones who have done streaming definitely have an advantage. They already understand some pretty like foundational things about community, like how do you like even just administrate something like that, and even how to use it as a business model or to have the impact that you're trying to have. The guys who haven't and just kind of ignored it, and they just really relied on a very, very specific and focused piece of the puzzle. And so those are definitely the guys that are still struggling. So,
yeah, I mean, like live streaming, I feel like 4 or 5 months ago was kind of like a nice to have. Like, hey, we're going to do our event. You can come to the event, and if we have time and if we have budget, we're going to live stream it as well. And then the people who like couldn't afford it or couldn't make it into the travel in, then they would jump on the live stream, and it was always this like horrible experience. Like, it was just an afterthought, and now it is like the primary channel.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because the technology, not only did people and teams and staff have to upgrade, but they definitely found flaws and weaknesses in their systems, things that weren't important. Suddenly they were straining, the infrastructure they did have. And, not only is there an education problem, but then there's also an equipment problem. And trying to solve all those problems on the fly can be extremely expensive and or expensive to figure out. And, in the world of streaming, people's patience on their mobile devices is already pretty short. Like they want it to work. And so it's just tragic when you watch people struggling through all of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, I'm sure even in the innovation of like, this all kind of hit middle of March, and in March, like what did the live streaming look like those first couple of weeks? First, like, what are you guys doing now in some of your events?
What did it look like? So, Gosh, I mean, from a client perspective or from like my technical perspective?
Yeah, just like the workflow, or I mean, you guys have had to be a little more innovative now because like there's only you have to be a little more creative, keep it interesting.
Yeah, there's a trend. Yeah, there's definitely this concept of a remote broadcast was not really a thing unless you were like a news anchor.
Yeah.
Remote broadcasts were reserved for satellite trucks and were kind of a big planned thing. And now you have a bunch of people who not only is the need there to be remote, for pandemic related issues, but then also there's the uneducated who are expecting that level of connection and realizing that the internet doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Bandwidth doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why there's network engineers and streaming engineers that build these systems for specific applications.
Mm-hmm.
So
explain that a little bit, because I know the remote broadcast term, I don't think I even had really heard of that until we were talking a couple months ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a new term. People don't. I've talked to some network guys who like really specialize. It's the sports guys or sports broadcasters. Those are the video engineers who typically do a lot more of this kind of crazy remote stuff. And of course the news stations and whatnot. But, remote broadcast it used to be traditional satellite trucks, and it's morphing into cloud-based or server-based remote production facilities to where we're being forced to link people together through various technologies and different protocols. Not all streaming is the same. There's really an infinite amount of standards and settings and options.
Of course, yeah.
And so, a lot of people don't realize, but when it comes to a stream, even like our conversation, you have a hosted platform, you have an ISP, and then you have the transport that connects the two. And there's 3 very different technologies already without complicating it just to make this connection work.
And we just get on and most people are familiar with Zoom right now. So they they jump on, they hit camera, they just start talking. And so much of the stuff is just happening behind the scenes, but when you do it for a live event, or you're doing a more professional environment, all those kind of automated systems get spread out. Like that one component is now like one person's job to make sure this piece is working, the transcoding is happening, this happens on the server, this it kind of, because then you get control, and that's where you can ultimately get the quality up a lot higher. So
I was working with working with these corporate clients that are like software or startups. They're working on some pretty cutting edge stuff, and they want their streams to be perfect. And so we have to look into all this extra technology based on another aspect of it, which is not just transport or delivery to a consumer or to a viewer, but also the legalities, like what platforms have what permissions in what regions of the world. Because not all streams can go to China. Like there's all these other crazy things that we don't ever think about.
And even down to like what music you can play. Like people may not realize, like you play a copyrighted song. If there's a song that you're playing off Spotify or something you downloaded, you play it through, and you're streaming to Facebook Live, for example, like Facebook will turn off your feed. Like they will turn it off. YouTube will delete the audio. Like this has happened, happens a lot. But some people, and they just go in there like, I don't know why it's turned off, but there's like these little rules, but now only a handful of geeky production people used to know, and now everybody's having to like deal with these. So that's why I'm glad we have shows like this. We can jump on, we can talk about stuff and try and help.
It's true. And it's crazy too, because like some of the solutions don't always work. And even with just this influx of people streaming now, these automated systems are not catching everything. So best tips and tricks for the industry, that whole category has completely been rewritten. Mm-hmm. So passionately so too.
So. That's a good segue here, because we do want to try and provide some help to anyone who's generating content right now. If you're a company that's trying to get content out, trying to get blog posts, trying to get videos out onto the web to connect with clients. If you're a church trying to connect with your congregation, if you're just a author, you've written something, you're trying to get content out into the world, do vlogs and podcasts. Like we're just trying to help anyone who's trying to build a tribe, a following, people online who are looking for that content. That's our whole vision. So I know we wanted to pick your brain a little bit and think through like actually kind of break it down to a production. Like if you're thinking through a live event, let's say a webinar, for example, there's these different phrases. There's or phases, pre-production where everything's happening before, making sure all these different things are set up and you're ready to go. And then what happens during the production, there's a couple pointers and maybe some tips and tricks you can talk about. And then we'll talk about like what happens afterwards. Like where does that video go? What do you do after the event ends? So we'll use that as kind of our those three kind of pillars to talk through, and hopefully we can help provide some value for each of those. So yeah, let's jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think if there's one thing I'm passionate about, that's a run of show. And the run of show document is literally the central place that you should be able to run your entire event or broadcast from. And that includes, even if it's not 100% accurate, it's at least the flow of information that you're going to need access to. And even for that is going to organize not only yourself, but any of your contributors and your guests. And it's going to help them just be prepared. And one of the biggest things is, you get into a live environment like this, like a live recording, and you remember, shoot, I didn't grab that thing, that picture or that document. And then you're trying to find it while you're live. And that's never a good idea. And if you're like me, I can't do it. Like my brain can't go looking through a file structure to find something while I'm recording. So
you really can't emphasize like literally just being organized. Like live production will show up anyone who's disorganized like faster than anything. Like think about like if you had to go speak in front of an auditorium of people, like you better know what you're saying. You better have thought through what you're saying, be confident. But if you get up there and trying to like, oh, let me get this thing and whatever. And now that's happening, except you've got a camera like 2 or 3 feet from your face. And so it's just all attention on you. So you got to be prepared. You got to know what you're doing and being able to jump into it.
And I think too, like being organized means confidence. And ultimately you want to be confident on camera and you want to show up and bring your best. So if you don't plan, you're not planning to bring your best. So we definitely want to make sure we do that. What was our second thing? We were going to talk about production.
So on the pre-production side, even just let's talk about like gear for a second. Like, if anyone's tried to buy a webcam the last few months, they're very hard to come by. I hear that they're starting to come back in stock a little bit, but let's just talk about some of the gear that you could recommend. That's not, obviously you can go get a lot of professional stuff, but how do you have like a pretty decent stream at home without completely breaking the bank?
First of all, why do you want to? Like, why would you just not use Zoom and push it out, or just go live on Instagram and invite somebody in, and the short answer is quality. Like it needs to be accessible and it needs to be consumable. Mm-hmm. And if the minimum quality standard isn't met, like you're not going to get the engagement that you're looking for, and people are just going to come and get frustrated. So eliminating that part of the conversation, we want to lower the barrier of entry as much as we can and make it an enjoyable, easy experience. So with that being said, you can also overspend, overcomplicate, and overcomplications can also create more points of failure, and just really suck the life out of the fun of the project. Like, you want to meet people. You want to match the energy to what's appropriate. You can definitely overdo it. So with that, like one of our favorite tools, right? We just talked about the tool. Mm-hmm. For most things, including podcasts, a lot of podcasts started off in audio and they're morphing into video because people see the value there. And our favorite tool for most people getting started who want a better audio and better video experience that's branded, that can get set up in 5 minutes, and that's StreamYard. Mm-hmm. Definitely one of our best tools that we use for clients who do challenges or want to do a live interview with up to 10 people, actually.
That's awesome.
And so I think we've only done up to 4, but
yeah, and that's what we're using here, to put these, we've got our logo down there. We're tracking, I can bring in these little comments here and there, and it just makes it so much more engaging. And I was gonna just say it on the quality thing, like everybody has to live stream right now. So like this is an easy thing to do to make sure that the quality, the sound is good, the audio, and of course the content has to be good, but don't let like the gear that you're using like limit the influence that you could potentially have through your production. So these are things that it's easy. It's easy to go get the right camera, turn on. Once you know what to do, which hopefully we're going to jump into a couple examples of some gear I think that will help you guys. Just getting it set up once, and then everything that goes like it's just going to look a lot better. It's going to be a lot more engaging, and it's going to stand out from what everybody else is doing, because you have to do that now because every single person is live streaming now. So it's the same. It's like when cameras came onto your phone, like all of a sudden everybody's a photographer. Like right now everybody's a web presenter. Like everybody's a a live event host. So
oh man, I just remember that the iPhone photographer, iPhoneographer. Some people got real clever on that. Craigslist posting for that. That was so fun.
Funny. It's great.
I'll film your entire wedding with my iPhone.
It's awesome. So let's go. Just give us one or two examples of a good like webcam that's not like $100, $200 somewhere in that range that you would recommend. Maybe if you bring it up on Amazon, we can just show it real quick, and we'll put a list of stuff in the description here for you guys. But I feel like I'm a pretty techie person, but I feel so much smarter talking to Jesse a couple times a week, and him just letting me know like what stuff looks good, what's affordable. Because there's a sweet spot, right? Like when you're buying gear, you can go spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and once you get past a certain point, like it gets a little hard. And as like if you're in that space, you can geek out about all the little details. But from the kind of consumer level, like someone who's just watching the content, you really can't tell between like $3,000 camera and like a $12,000 camera. But there's this, the same thing kind of with webcams. Like, obviously the camera that's on your phone, I'll just say this as well while you're bringing up some of that stuff. Like the camera on the back of your phone is so much better than the one on the front of your phone. So if you're like doing the selfie thing, that's probably the worst way to do something. And a lot of people do that. I don't know what happened to my lighting there while I'm talking, but and so if you have to use your phone, use the right side of the camera, the front back side here, and then your webcams on your laptops are generally not that great because they're a very, very small lens and they're not letting a lot of light into it. And so generally getting a separate webcam you can set up. It has a bigger lens, get lots more light, this is more detail in. And even what I'm using right now, I'm using like a $50 Logitech, 920, the old trusty webcam that everybody uses. But you had some other options as well, if you want to jump into that.
Yeah. Gosh, there's several different options, but I mean, we talked about this the other day. I'll just share real quick. Here we go. So, webcams are awesome. I think for picture quality, Logitech tends to, across the board, always rank the highest. The Brio, it has terrible autofocus. I don't really like its auto features, but
it didn't work.
I know, but there's so many news people who are actually using this for national television in their homes. It's wild. It's just like unbelievable.
And I will say that camera is $160. I bought mine for $160 a year ago. So that just like the prices are super inflated right now.
Wow.
Or I think it was like maybe 200. It was between 150 and 200, but it wasn't 270.
I did try. So the 920, any of these ones are really good as well.
That was $50 5 months ago.
Everyone thinks that 4K, this isn't a 4K one. Ultra HD is 4K. It won't show up as 4K on any of your stuff. So, yeah, just know that. But I tried some of these knockoff ones. They're garbage. Don't even try. The next option too that I did want to highlight though is, webcams. I did play with this guy. It's kind of like a cross between a GoPro and a Brio, but it's essentially Thank you. This is a Zoom Q2N. It's the 4K model, and it's a little. It's what makes it cool is it's kind of a microphone video recorder in one. So it has a little display on the back, so it'll actually record. It'll let you set your framing, and you kind of navigate the menu and whatnot. But it has some physical dials. You can hook it up to a monitor so you can see yourself nice and large, plus a headphone adapter. And if you wanted to run a separate line audio input, you could. So it does offer some flexibility, really good quality. It's handy. I think I picked that up for $200.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, I think it was like 200 something, which is great because let's say it this way. Like I spent 60, $70 on this webcam. I have like a Yeti mic right here. That's $100. So you're already at 160. Like this is everything in one, and it actually records. Like I think you were showing me as well. You can like take that away from your computer, set it down, film something back, upload it to YouTube or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so much better than just a little USB connection.
Yeah, the other cool tool is like an Elgato or some sort of capture device. Mm-hmm. USB is the easiest one to get started, but that's assuming you have a camera. And if you already have like a DSLR camera or something, it essentially just lets you capture that way. Another, which actually we should probably mention GoPro. Like a lot of you guys have GoPros, which will work similar to the Zoom, but you're really going to need a different microphone.
Live out of the GoPro into your computer?
You can. If you have an older GoPro, you're going to have to use a capture device like the Elgato.
Do you know which version? Is it like the 5, GoPro 5? Or?
Yeah, like 7, GoPro 7. Those ones will do an external RTMP link. I didn't have consistent results. I know that the newest model is much better, and they do technically send an RTMP link out. So there's only 2 ways. You can get fancy and use your GoPro via RTMP instead of some nerdy stuff, or you get like the little HDMI capture card.
Yeah, and the capture cards work pretty well. Like if you have a DSLR, or you have any camera that has like a HDMI out, what that will do is you'll plug in like HDMI into your camera, HDMI into your computer, into this little capture card. It comes in as a USB. And then what will happen is your computer will think it's a webcam. So it just works with all this Zoom, Skype, all the things that you need to use. I don't know, does anyone use Skype anymore? I don't even know why that popped into my head.
Ironically, they do, and it drives us all nuts.
Google Hangouts, maybe. So it'll work with everything because it sees it as just part of the webcam, like on your computer. So works great. It's a little more technical, but if you're looking for that next level of quality, it's definitely a solid option.
Yeah, Blackmagic makes some capture cards as well. Not just Elgato, but Blackmagic makes a USB one, and they make a Thunderbolt one. Any of the Thunderbolt capture devices require external cameras. Mm-hmm. But if you want that more professional look, that gives you a lot of flexibility. Yeah. Otherwise, just go with a webcam driver because it's so much faster.
Gotcha.
Like you're saying, it's just so much faster.
Anything else on the pre-production stuff? Like, I guess maybe just mention lighting really briefly.
Anything really, any kind of lighting, as long as it's diffused. Mm-hmm. So
like you can go on Amazon and look for like kind of soft boxes or things like for $30 or $40-$50. Like, you know, anything that says got something that's between you and the light. So it's like I got a kind of semi-transparent white something. It just will spread the light out a lot more evenly. You don't get those harsh shadows. So of course I'm saying that, and I don't have any lighting on right now because I've got the huge windows right here. So I'm just trying to like manage that to get too bright.
I have a lot of lighting going on. It's not perfect, but yeah, I have a little video light that's mounted above my monitor. It's at the lowest setting it can go. And then behind me, I have a floor light that's making all the blue. And then I have this guy, which is really just for an effect, but typically I have it pointed as like a little rim light to outline my hair. Makes it look a little nicer. So
it's good. Cool. So lighting, got some camera options. I think that Zoom is a great all-around. I think if someone's just looking for mic and all that in one. And what's cool, I think you said it's about $200 now. where and it's normally $200. It's not being like inflated because of all the pandemic stuff. So
Yeah.
um,
I want to highlight one more thing, if that's okay. The specifically, if you have a DSLR, a newer one, you may already be able to use it as a webcam and may not even know it. So
that's
the
true.
newer Canon and Sony cameras, DSLRs, the software updates for them let you use them as a webcam.
That's right.
And specifically, Canon just released their EOS webcam utility, and it works really well. And I can't remember how far back it goes, but I think it's anything with like a Digic 6 color processor, the dual or newer, has enough processing power to make it work.
Like 90% of people who are going to watch this.
I know, but check the models, because it's saying it goes far back as.
Do you want me to show your screen again?
Yeah, here's some models. This is a high-end camera, but we got some entry-level ones like a 90D, a Rebel T7, a 6i. Like these are consumer. These are what you bought at Costco for a really good deal at Christmas or something.
Yeah, they're like most of those. The EOS R is like 200, but the T6 I think is less than 1,000. I mean, the EOS R is 2,000. The T6 I think isn't that like around. It's less than $1,000, I think. Yeah,
it depends on what kit. Like if you bought body or a kit, the M50 is what is that, $600 or something for just the body, and that's a newer camera. Yeah, and then of course we have the PowerShots, which the G7s are awesome. Mm-hmm. So I just want to point that out that we've actually used some of these camera bodies with the webcam utility. And it's now both available on PC and Mac. So
that's crazy.
Really great way if you want to show people up and show them how much better your input is than their webcam. So
yeah, that's good. And I think that, again, some of you guys may have some of this gear laying around. So this is just a great way to repurpose that and kind of get more use out of it rather than sitting in a camera bag. So check those things out. Again, this is kind of what everybody's going to be doing the next for a while, so it's worth taking some time to invest in some of these things, because
probably for at least the rest of the year.
The mic and my webcams, like I use it every few hours, like in my office here. It's literally my only like doorway to the rest of the world right now. So like you don't have to spend thousands, but just put like 100, 200, 300 bucks towards this, and it will make such a difference, because it affects every meeting you have, every Zoom call, every live stream you go on. So cool. We talked about run a show, like writing out what's going to happen. We talked a little bit about some gear. We say, so when you're running the stream, let's say you're in production mode, we talked about StreamYard's great. We're using this. If you want something a little nicer than Zoom, where you're doing an interview like this, it's really great. And it really doesn't need any training. It's extremely intuitive. Like you click on something, I can, click here and it goes to like full screen. I can do, zoom back out. I can, we can share Jesse's screen again like that, which has our show notes, and we can go back and forth like this. I can, zoom in, come out. I was bringing in those little banners and stuff. And so this is just like one click. So while I'm talking, I'm able to have a little more control over it. Where everybody's been on the Zoom calls where you have maybe 10, 20 people on there, and someone's like forgot to mute their mic, and then like randomly their face comes in full screen. Like if you just want to like eliminate all that stuff, you can kind of you don't have to be like super tech savvy to do it. You just turn it on, connects to your webcam, and then it will stream from StreamYard out to Facebook Live. You can stream it to YouTube streaming. You can stream it to like 20, 30 other places, a custom stream link. So we're actually streaming to multiple places just for this call, but it works really well. And you can download the stream when you're done, so you get a video file. So awesome.
Yep. I know one of the big turnoffs was originally it really only spits out a 720p file, but I've compared it, and it's the sharpest 720p file I've ever seen. I don't really understand how it looks as good as it does.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's awesome. I think let's talk about just post-production, because I know we're trying to keep these around 30 minutes. It's not going to be exact because we just hit the 30-minute mark. But so you finished your webinar, you've got some good lighting, you produced it through StreamYard. Like what do you do after what would you recommend as a as a live like event producer, like what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna produce something like this for a live edit or for a live, this is considered a live edit. So we are definitely pre-recording this and we're going to push it out. But you know, the only editing that we're going to probably do on this is maybe a little intro and an outro. So it might be a title page with a little bit of a music intro and then something to wrap it up at the end. And so we call that top and tail. So a top and tail really doesn't require much editing because it's already done. And it really speeds it up very, very, very quickly. And the content is meant for rapid release. So, when you finish your recording and you did go live, then it's already out there. Like you're done.
Well, and you can, so if you have the file, like, I mean, you definitely want to get it on as many platforms as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did, been working with, my wife has launched a vlog during like February into March. And she just finished her 100th episode. She's doing like daily vlogs. And if you're a content creator, do not do a daily vlog. It's very intense. Don't start with that for sure. But we just put on every platform. We actually put it on YouTube. We actually upload the video to YouTube. We upload the video separately to Facebook. We don't just necessarily just drop a link to YouTube and Facebook. So there's reasons why you want to, right. Facebook and YouTube don't like each other. So they want you to put the file up there. We use IGTV as well to drop it onto Instagram. We take the audio and we launch it through Anchor and we do a podcast through that. We also upload the video to Pinterest right now. You may not know, like Pinterest is like a very easy way to get a ton of views. It's not just for like fixer-upper type pinning and all that stuff, but there's like anything visual and you can do it.
I actually haven't used Pinterest in that manner, so that's really interesting. Yeah.
And then TikTok, which we have another. If you go to the first episode, this is episode 2, but if you go to episode 1, we talked with Isaac Holt, and he did a whole like 30-minute deep dive on TikTok. It's amazing what you can get. I think it was the fastest growing platform. I think my wife has probably 7,000-8,000 followers on there now in like 3-4 weeks. Like, and didn't have a previous following or anything. There's so much space to go and like bring new content to that. So those are the kind of the platforms that I would recommend. I don't know if you have any others that you would say, maybe even having your own platform, of course, if you want to talk to that.
I mean, yeah, I could go off on that honestly, but we don't have time for that today. Sometimes your content isn't always appropriate for all platforms. And I'm not talking about swearing. I'm talking about, just the nature of your content being indexed by these free platforms. They're looking to optimize your content so that they can make money off of you. And right. So if your content goes through their filter and they say, oh, that doesn't really align with our marketing values, that's when the censorship comes into play. So that's a bit dodgy. So you definitely want to like be able to own and have your own content and be able to put it somewhere that you could control. Yeah. So that's a huge deal. That's a really huge deal. In fact, I deal with that on a daily basis. So
yeah, I definitely recommend, because at the end of the day, like leverage Facebook, leverage Instagram, leverage YouTube for all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's good if you have your own platform, build your own email list, build your own something like website or something, just to put all these videos there, because then you're not like tied to whatever Facebook decides. What if Instagram decides, oh, we're not going to let you do 20-minute videos. Now we're going to let you do like 5-minute videos or whatever the change is. And now all of a sudden you have to change because they're changing like how they're doing stuff. So I think that's all helpful. Is there anything else, kind of closing thoughts about streaming, advice for people who are content creators you want to just drop before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I would say too, like one of the cool things about this, using something like StreamYard, is for your micro content, you always want to repurpose your content and customize it for the platform that you're posting to. So just because you can stream to all those places doesn't mean that should be the final delivery. For Facebook, content usually is much shorter, usually like a 2-minute, 4-minute window of content does really well there. But something like 5, 7, 8 minutes even will do quite well on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Even the longer stuff will do better on YouTube too. So yeah, tailor your content for the platform. It's a really big deal.
That's good. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time just to drop some wisdom on from a producer's, someone who's in that producer role professionally and has been doing this for many years, to now kind of translate that to people who are at home trying to do all this for the first time. There's obviously a lot that we can all learn. I know I've learned a ton from you. That's why we're using StreamYard and all that, just because you shared all these little tricks. And also I thought this would be helpful to share with anyone else who's trying to get content out into the world right now. So
yeah, I would definitely encourage people, get it out and don't let the technology stop you.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, don't let technology come in anywhere in between you and getting building your influence or helping people grow in what they're doing. So
yeah, the most expensive part of any kind of content creation is creativity, you know, and that finally, like, that's the final answer on all of it, is your creativity. Bring your creativity to any production and you'll already do better than the rest.
Yeah, that's awesome. And okay, best ways if anyone wants to connect with you, your handle, where would you send people if they want to?
I'm on all, pretty much, I think I'm on all platforms as just Jesse Maitland. So at Jesse Maitland.
Gotcha. Awesome. And that's awesome. Well, again, thanks for hanging out. And if you guys enjoyed this, drop some questions below. We'll make sure Jesse gets that. And yeah, thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Cool. Thanks.